as well. So record. Okay, so welcome. I'm Dr. Scott Hunt. I am the professor for this course, Equity-Centered Leadership. This is actually the second 5-week stint for this new course. So we got through the guinea pig group. So I think we've got it cleaned up a little better. It should be a little maybe easier to navigate for me and for you. So I thought I'd just start. We'll do some introductions, and then I'm going to repeat some things that are already in the announcements, but sometimes repetition is good. It's good to see it, and it'll be good maybe for you to hear it. So just by way of background, so this is I've been with ACE for 3.5 years as adjunct faculty, but my day job is with the Ohio Department of Education. I'm the executive director of field relations. I've been with the department for about 3.5 years, but prior to that, I was a school superintendent. I live in Ohio, so I was a superintendent for almost 6 years in a small rural school district. And prior to that, I lived in the district where I spent 15 years. It happens to be next to a nuclear power plant, so the glow behind me is probably from that. But I spent 15 years in the district where I live. I was, the last year I was there as a director of college and career readiness, middle school principal there for 5 years, high school assistant for 5, and a high school counselor for 4. I taught school for 8 years, multi-subjects from K through high school, 4 years doing some elementary counseling and teaching middle school science of all things, and as well as opening up a work study program in a district that I was with previous. I also did a year at Cleveland Municipal Schools in Cleveland, Ohio, and started my career in Naples, Florida. And I taught 5th grade there for 4 years. So hopefully I'll be able to contribute to the course for you as you are on your journey. Hopefully you are aspiring to be school leaders. I don't know if you have experienced this in your state or in your school or in your district, but there's a shortage not only of teachers, but there's a shortage of strong school leaders, principals in particular. So I appreciate that you're on this journey and hang in there. It will get better. I'm sure it's tough for you to navigate classes and papers all in this 5-week time span. So I'm going to stop there, and I'm just going to call on you as I see you on my screen. I want to hear a little bit about where you're from and what your current role is and what it is you hope to do with your future. So Michelle, you are up first because you're on my screen first.
Hi, everybody. So this is my second master's degree. I'm looking to become certified to be an administrator. I live in Connecticut, so there's a little bit of challenges there because it's an out-of-state program. So I was having some deep anxiety about making sure that things correlate between this program in Connecticut. And I'm not totally there yet, but some very nice people have reassured me that it'll sort of work itself out along the way. It might have to take an extra class or two, but the online format was what really drew me because I do have 3 children and working full time and, trying to go to a university after working all day just was totally exhausting. And my friend Amy is doing this program and she really likes it. So I figured I would give it a try. I've been teaching for 26 years. I'm currently an academic coach in a K-5 elementary school in a priority district. With a very high transient population, 100% free and reduced lunch, 75% or higher identifying as Hispanic. We also have many other nationalities in our district as well. So it's really kind of an interesting place. I love my job. I taught 5th grade, remedial reading, remedial math, and then I really have a concentration in literacy. And I was a literacy coach for a long period of time. And then they consolidated, like we were math coach, reading coach, data coach, and then they said, oh, only one coach per building, you're going to do it all. So I did it all. And then my building has a bilingual program and 2 behavior type programs plus a unilingual track. So I kind of was being like an assistant principal while I was doing the coaching work. And I'm like, I kind of really like this. So that's sort of what led me here.
Thanks, Michelle.
Yeah.
Meg?
Did you say me? Sorry.
Yes, I did. Go ahead.
I blabbed out. Hi, I am Meg Schwartz. I am residing in Sanford, DeBary, Florida. It's right in between Orlando and Daytona Beach. I am 16, have been middle school. I currently teach 7th grade civics for half a day. I'm an instructional coach and the IB coordinator for my other half of my day, plus the testing assistant and any other job that they want to throw at me with my 2 periods free and 1 planning. So I got my feet wet last year as an instructional coach. I am in the UF instructional coach program as well as the master's, so it's double. And I ACE, and they were like, it's super flexible. I'm a mom of 1, but he just made the boys gymnastics team. So I needed something that was super flexible because we will be starting to travel here pretty soon on weekends, and I need something I can take along. But I have a pretty unique school. We are a Title I, but we are a predominant pre-IB and a magnet school. So we pull from all over our county. Our county is monstrous the way they do it in Florida. So, but originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So my roots are still there, but Florida and the sun is where my heart is.
Very good. Thank you. Ashley?
Hi. So I am originally from a little rural town in Missouri. I am teaching currently in Orlando, Florida as a 5th grade teacher. Last year I taught STEM and as a specials area, and I was teaching 5th grade before. So I just kind of been maneuvering my way like a chameleon through different roles. I was also the interventionist for various grades with my strengths in math and science for our state testing that we have every year that is now changing again. But when I taught in Trenton as well, in Trenton, New Jersey, as a kindergarten teacher at a charter school. And I've always really enjoyed working with charter schools because I feel like they try to break the norm than district schools, are more confined to. So I really love charter schools and what we are able to do. So we're located currently in a suburban area, and our group has slowly become more diverse because we're predominantly in a white area, but we have gathered a lot more Hispanics and a lot more of the Jamaican kind of backgrounds as well. So we are becoming more and more diverse, allowing the opportunity for more kids that are in the surrounding area that are technically Title I zone schools. So we have a little bit more of an opportunity to get our word out there with other kids too. So yeah.
Good. Thank you, Ashley. Kara?
Hi, I'm Kara. I teach at an elementary school. I teach special education in Indiana. Our school is predominantly white. We have very little diversity as far as ethnic backgrounds at our school, but diversity, as I'm starting to study some of these things, is definitely exists in every school based on learning needs and poverty and all of the things that do exist that create imbalances for kids in their learning. So I've started already, and I'm excited to continue to learn with each of you that have lots of different experiences.
Great. Thanks, Kara. Betty?
Hi, my name is Betty Ann. I am a middle school 8th grade homeroom teacher. I teach at a a parochial school, so it's private, but we're in a rural area. So little slack on resources in the school sometimes. So I wear many, many hats. I teach middle school science. I'm also the 8th grade US history teacher. I am the robotics coach and as well as student council mentor. And these are programs that I put in place. I've been at the school for 5 years. As you know, just trying to build extracurricular activities and different experiences. This year, I'm starting the student like a community service program for kids to for them to start working towards their graduation requirements for high school. And I'm also a transition planner for our 8th graders. So we're growing, but it's still a fairly small school. 213 students from pre-K to 8. And we predominantly white community, but we do have several families in multiple grades that speak Spanish at home. And but the students are fluent in English as well, but just different backgrounds culturally sometimes. We do have several special needs students that their parents have them in our school, even though we don't have the resources available that public schools have. And we are, using our own means of trying to find opportunities for them, for academically, but also socially. And they are included in their classes. Some very few pull out services in our school. I have a unique opportunity of my son has autism. He just transitioned from high school to adulthood programming. Fortunately, we were able to get him in Kennedy Krieger Institute, their school system, when he was 7, and he graduated when he was 21. So we had 14 years of strong programming. He has behavior issues that are self-injurious and also aggressive, and then some learning disabilities, things like that. But he's a pretty good kid. You'll probably see him bop in and out at this point. So with all of my unique experiences and having a son with special needs, I have kind of gravitated towards putting myself in a leadership position, with our principal being hugely appreciative of my efforts. And as I was doing that, I was kind of like, hey, I think I could probably advance my career. And I feel like I've always been in a position, when I worked at a medical center, I kind of pushed myself to be more in a decision-making position. So that is why I'm here. And I too am probably going to be moving. So I have a little bit of, I'm a little bit worried, that making sure that I'm trying to get the correct classes and correct certifications, because I'm thinking about moving to Florida in a few years. So.
Very good. Thanks, Betty Ann. Austin?
Hi, I'm Austin Van. I am the technology coordinator for MSD of Steuben County, which is in Angola, Indiana. It's a super rural community. Our school district does have a high free and reduced lunch population. 3 out of 4 of our elementary schools are Title I. It's a very high white population. We do have a small Spanish speaking and Arabic speaking population, but other than that, it's predominantly white. So.
Yeah. Thank you. Michael?
Hi, I'm Mike. It's my 15th year in education. I teach in Central Indiana. I teach high school math, mainly algebra for most of my courses. I'm also the boys varsity basketball coach and the assistant athletic director. I also have a 3-year-old, so got a lot of irons in the fire right now. But ACE has been really good for me as far as the convenience of it, and I'm looking forward to learning in this class.
Thanks, Mike. Charles?
I'm assuming this is a introduction because I didn't catch the first part.
Yes,
of
sir.
it.
Yes, sir. We're just gonna do a little introduction. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what your role is, and what you're considering for your future here.
So my name is Lugans Charles. This is actually my first year teaching, teaching a pretty big elementary schools, about 1,000 students, about 1,100 students, from K to 5 or pre-K to 5. I retired from the military last year, 21 years.
Thank you.
Of course, I wanted to get into education, but not at the higher level. I wanted to get into, the lower grade or the lower ages. So I'm also doing a doctorate in educational leadership, but because it doesn't lead to licensing, so that's why I'm doing the program with ACE to get licensed. Ultimate goal to either stay as a principal in the lower elementary school or find a like a small rural county to do a superintendentship in. I'm really a huge advocate for growth and prosperity in areas that have like lower grade or lower standard education. Plan is to try to find one small area and build it and hopefully expand from there.
Good. Thank you. Okay. I think I've captured everyone that's in the meeting. So I think I mentioned this is a fairly large class. I think there are 32 or 33 of us scheduled for the next 5 weeks. And so I'm going to assume that this is your second class if you've just started the program. Is that true? Okay, so I don't know what your first course professors were like or what they expected, but I'm going to spend just a little bit of time and walk through and give you a little bit of an overview and talk about some expectations in terms of the course. And so you've already been through 5 weeks. It goes like that. And it's really important for you to kind of make sure you've got your calendar set up right so that you can get through all of the assignments and the discussion. So I'm going to take a second to share my screen. And tell me if you can see my screen. Yes, should see the course. So let me give you a little bit of overview. So when you go to the home screen here, I just real quick want to point out my contact information is here. When you communicate, if you would do it through this inbox here, the Canvas inbox, I get alerted when you send an email through Canvas. If you just use my ACE email, I'll get it, but I probably won't get it as quick as I will when I get the alert. And I try to stay on top of emails and to answer questions as timely as I can be. So if you would use the Canvas inbox first, you can also use my ACE email address. And if you need to, my cell is here, you could call or text. Typically, if there's something that you have some kind of a circumstance, it's okay to shoot me a text and let me know. And if we need to communicate, we can communicate after that. So that's the instructor studio. And then I want to talk about a few things with you. I'm not going to go through the syllabus, but I want to talk about the late policy. Now, again, I'm not sure what was shared in your first course, but the late policy is as such that there's a 10% runoff each day your assignment is late. In this course, it's set up automatically. So if you're late, when I score your work, and your status is a late assignment, you will get that 10% deduction. It's calculated automatically. Now, that being said, we're in a 5-week course. You're very busy people and life happens. And so if there's something extenuating, that is keeping you from submitting something on time, you need to let me know, and you can request some additional time. Now, extenuating circumstance. Dr. Hunt, I slept in this morning and I forgot to hit submit. That is not an extenuating circumstance. But if you have an illness in your family or something that you need to tend to that was an emergency, you let me know and we can work on providing some flexibility around the time. The other piece of kind of the grading and the policy is, and I thank you for asking, Betty Ann. I am the Eastern Standard Time Zone. I'm in Ohio. And so I'll talk about the calendar because there are some times listed in there that I'm not sure match up with what you see on your student view if you're not in Eastern Standard Time. So when I do grading, all grades for ACE in these 5-week courses are due by Thursday. So you have got to get all of your assignments in prior to that. After that, they become zeros. And again, if you have an extenuating circumstance, you communicate with me and we'll try to provide you some flexibility in terms of time and potentially eliminating the penalty for being late. So that's the syllabus. I'd encourage you to read through that. I'm not going to go through the whole syllabus with you. I also want to talk about plagiarism. This is very important. I'm not sure, again, what you was shared in your first course, but you have to turn all of your work, your papers, your application analysis papers will go through Turnitin. And Turnitin is basically a service that looks for plagiarism. It looks for duplicate work in the papers that you submit. Your score should be 20% or less. Now, I do look at the score and I do look at the Turnitin item and I check for plagiarism. And if you are using someone else's work and not properly citing, then potentially you will get a submission around plagiarism back to administration. So I want to lay that out there up front. So do your own work, cite it to the best of your ability in proper APA format, and you'll be okay. You're going to notice in this 5-week course that there are templates and surveys and things that you will use in your paper that you're going to get. You might get a score that's like 65%, 50%. That's going to be okay. Just make sure that you are doing your own work, using your own words, and when you're not, that you're citing things appropriately. The other thing that I do is I will post announcements every Friday. They'll get posted at 8 a.m. and sometimes those are duplicate of what you're reading in the discussion board and the assignment. At the end of this meeting, I will post the video of this meeting so that everyone can view. So I'd look at those announcements carefully, but they are also aligned to the assignment and the discussion boards. So some of it, you know, if you're asking, why are you telling me twice? Because sometimes repetition is good, and I want to make sure that I at least get that in front of you in the announcements, in the event that maybe you're struggling to read through the length of the assignment direction. So you'll see that each Friday for each module. So the announcements are important. So in the first set of announcements, I'd encourage you to read through those. I talk, I do the intro, there's a video intro, and then this expectations for formatting. This is very important. If you haven't looked at this announcement, there is a template in here that I want you to look at for the paper submissions. Now in this course, not every application or analysis will be a paper. There are going to be some things that you're only turning in a PowerPoint and an agenda and an audit review. But where you have to submit a paper, I want it to look like what the template looks like. So I'd look at that carefully. It outlines specifically and exactly what that paper should look like. I also walk through in a video this template. So I'd encourage you to watch that. And then if you are struggling with APA formatting, then I've got the OWL site in there. I would click that link and that should provide you with some additional insight into into APA formatting. And Ashley, I see you have a question here about first assignment. I'll talk about the first assignment in a minute. And others have had a question about what that should look like. So let me get through this and then we'll come back to the questions. So I read the announcements, and please take a close look at the APA format and the templates and the videos. The other piece is grading and feedback. So I want to talk about how I do grading, because it's probably different than what you had in your first course or first two courses. So discussion boards are really straightforward. I will give you a rubric score. I will look that you have responded to 2 of your classmates, and I will make a general comment about what you've submitted. I'll either give you some feedback, or I'll just add additional commentary to your discussion. And that will be what the grade looks like for the discussion board. When you submit a paper, an analysis or application paper, I do 3 things. In the actual paper itself, I will provide you with feedback. Typically, I'll highlight what I'm looking at. Typically, that feedback is about your formatting in APA format. If you want to know how to view that, there's a link here. I'd click on that. You can see how you can get to view that in your paper. There's also a rubric. I'll click the points on the rubric. And if there's anything in the rubric that is deficient, then I'll make a comment about what that is. Like you needed to have a conclusion section here. I don't see a conclusion that ties together your thoughts in your paper, something along those lines. And typically I like to give feedback around APA format. I am a little bit of a stickler for the formatting piece. So although it's not a large percentage of the grade, I do provide comment on APA format. So in that grading view, I'll comment on the paper, I'll comment on the rubric, and then I'll give you some general overall comments on the work. And so that is how I grade. And you'll see those 3 things pretty consistently throughout each week. So grading is important. And again, you need to just make sure that you submit on time, unless you have an extenuating circumstance. And you can see I've noted here, you get a 0 in the grade book on Thursday if you haven't submitted. Those assignments become zeros. Okay, so let me see if I can answer the question in the chat. So there's a question about the equity audit, and I'm going to look. I think I have that audit in a Word document. Some Ashley, maybe you had this, you couldn't fill it in, or you didn't, it wasn't a PDF that you could type into. And so if that is the case, we can do this one of 2 ways. First, I will check to see if I have it in the Word format, and in the Word format, it'll be easy for you to plug in your scores. If not, we've had folks write on their paper and upload, check mark the spaces and upload it as a separate portion of the paper. I prefer to have everything in one document, but if we need to, and we had to do this the last 5 weeks on some submissions, some folks just had a hard time. They submitted their paper and then they submitted the audit separately. If we have to do it that way, we will. But let me check to see if I can get us a Word document, and I'll email and post after this meeting.
Yeah, I saw that I saw that I could draw on it and like mark it, but I didn't know how I could insert it into the Word document in addition to, unless I turn it all into a PDF, but I know then you can't make a comment on that. So that's why I was curious.
Yeah, no, that's a great question because it popped up last time around too. So I think I have a Word document. I think I'll check. And if not, we'll make some accommodation to make sure you can get that submitted, but you do have to submit that audit.
Yeah, I had it scanned and then it scanned in the complete wrong order. So
okay, no worries.
So yeah, that's where I'm at. Thank you.
No, glad you asked. And so I think I'm going to stop there. We have.
Does that go at the end then two,
Say that again?
would we make an appendix A under, does the audit go after the reference sheet? So we would make it as like an appendix A and then put the audit in the paper.
Yeah, so I'm gonna pull. Can you see this still or not? You see the sample? Okay. So you can see that this particular exemplar has it as an appendix. You can put it in as an appendix. And so I would just encourage you take a look at how this one was done. And I'm not sure how they embedded this in, or this was obviously embedded after they did the audit itself. So you should likely put it as an appendix if you can't have it as part of the paper. And if you have to do it, if you do have to submit it separately, I'll accept it that way as well.
A couple of other clarifying questions. There's just minor things, but are you Times Roman numeral 12 font, or that was my last professor? It doesn't say exactly in APA format.
I want to say in the assignment itself.
I looked and it does say to follow the APA format, but I didn't see that specific detail. I just want to be sure.
The answer is yes, but I want to see if it's listed here.
Perfect. So double space Times Roman
Yes.
numeral 12. Got it.
You got it.
Okay, just want to make sure.
I've seen another resource where they do list off like certain particular fonts, one's at 11 or
Oh,
one's
here it
12.
is. Here it is. Here it is. It's right here.
Yeah,
So
that one.
Okay.
you could use 11 Arial. I don't dig in too deep into the font unless it's
Okay.
really out of sorts. So Arial 11 or 2 times Roman 12.
Perfect. And then in the assignment, you use the term executive summary instead of like I saw your example, so it's really just kind of.
Follow
going
the
through.
example. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Follow the example.
thanks.
Yep. Okay, I'll keep it open. If you have other questions, we can answer those now. And I'm sure you'll think of some along the way, and I know you know how to reach me. Canvas inbox. You've got the ACE email address. If you need to, you have my cell. I've given sufficient wait time, I think. Oh, wait a second. Oh, Gary, you're welcome. All right, so unless there's anything pressing, I am going to stop recording, and then we will get you back some time here. I'm sure you're all busy and wanting to get back to your families and maybe start calling it a night. So I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to stop